Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this is our third workshop. So I'm super excited. This is a collaboration that I'm doing with Majoy, where we are here discussing tips, our own experiences, and we're encouraging you to have a community that's filled with collaboration between small channels. So if you're new here, I want to say welcome. We're glad that you could join us if you're returning. So, welcome back. And if you see this on replay, I want to thank you for supporting us. My name is Isabella, and I am here with Majoy, and we are passionate about building a YouTube community that is filled with collaborations, and we're sharing tips in these workshops and experiences. So, we can help provide this information to help you grow here, grow your channel. And we host a weekly workshop, and this is number 3. So I'm super excited. And Majoy, you actually host a weekly workshop similar but different than this one. So I don't know if you want to speak about it or if you want to tell them just to go check out your channel and look at your content for more on that. But I thought it's a good idea to give you a little plug on that because you do a weekly workshop that's kind of similar. If you want to say anything on that.
Yeah, hi, good morning, everyone, or good evening, where you are watching. I'm all the way from Singapore. So if you might have any viewers in your channel from Asia or from Singapore, we are on the same time zone. So, of course, same with my channel. I've got so many viewers and supporters from the US. So, thanks again for having me for another workshop. I think what is so exciting about what Isabella and I are doing is we are basically sharing the knowledge that are not by the book. If you want to read a book about content creating in terms of the technicality or what has this guru, YouTube guru, has to say, we are not in any shape or form in on that level. I think for myself, as again, thanks for allowing me to introduce myself and my channel. My channel is about sales training. I'm a sales coach. So, in my journey as a salesperson and as a sales coach, I found that something clicked in my mind as I was doing my videos. And then I realized, okay, there are things that I apply as a sales coach into content creating. It's hard to ignore the relation, the correlation between the two. So in my channel, there's a workshop that I started doing since before Christmas last year. And so far, it's been very successful in a way that the creativity is just going and going and going. I think Isabella and I have may have two different niches, but I think what we're doing right now is she's able to integrate the nature of her skill, the nature of her being a doctor, into her channel and into content creating. And at the same time, I personally as well, as a sales coach, I'm able to find connection to that. So this workshop is not your typical by the book workshop. This is really application of a lot of things, and hopefully viewers who are on live or viewers who are able to watch this on replay, can really give this workshop a chance to just understand what this is about. And if this is beneficial for you, then, I like to look at this workshop more like a podcast ish, because it's really not by the book, nothing scripted, but there's a structure and there's obviously an intention. And I think that's what I'm doing with my workshop weekly. And I think this is what we are both collaborating about. So thanks for that quick moment for me to give an overview, especially for the new viewers who's not watched workshops, or new viewers who's thinking, what are these two girls up to and what are they talking about? And two
Sure.
different worlds, two different time zone, two different culture and everything, and the list goes on. So yeah.
Yeah. And I appreciate you taking the time to introduce it because I felt it was that important. Because I've made a lot of connections in your weekly workshop with other creators. And so I value it. And I know that anyone watching this would value it as well. So, that said, thank you, Majoy. Let's just start with our first topic for the workshop today, which is balancing your personal and professional online presence. So, this is a biggie, and I'll go ahead and start because when I think of this topic, I think of how much of my personal self, my personal life, do I actually share with my community here, my online community. And I want to explore that because that is a topic, just like you mentioned, that I don't really hear a lot about other, when you go on the other gurus talking about tips and experiences. So, how much of this do you actually share with your online community? So, and I'm excited to talk about this because it's a difficult for me personally, because the question is, it's a big one. How much personal information should you share on your channel, which is really your brand, your professional brand? And before we answer that question, let's do something. Let's talk about what you have probably heard so much when first starting out, and that is authenticity. So, how do you achieve being authentic in on your channel, in front of your channel, if you're not sharing some sort of personal, relatable experiences? And I think it doesn't matter really what channel you have. So there's so many different types of channels, and it is crucial to share some personal stories. So for me, I try to make it relatable as much as I can when I'm talking about, for example, I talk a lot about mindset or different things like that on my channel. So I try to use my own experiences to make that relatable. But how deep do I actually go? Is the question. So I don't know about you, Majoy, but I do open up about some of my vulnerabilities when I'm talking about specific topics and maybe challenges, but that may not be as relatable as the viewers may want it to be. So what is that line? It You want to show that you're human, you want to show that you're approachable, you want to show that you're sharing this journey because you're usually talking about some sort of passion that you're feeling, something that's going on. Maybe you're having a difficult time in your life, but it can inspire and connect deeply with your audience. So that is my experience. And when I first started, I'm going to tell you something. I struggled with that one. It was like, whoo, how do I share like this online presence and in my personal? Let me tell you an experience, and then I'll ask you if you've had any of these experiences. So we're small. I'm technically a small channel, and I was just going on about my day. At this time, I'd been a couple months in. I was going on about my day, and I went and I did, like an errand. I went into the store, and someone came running up to me and recognized me from my channel. And I was blown away. I didn't know how to respond or how to act to it. And I realized in that moment, oh, so we're going to have some blending of the private, personal, and the online presence. So it was a really strange moment. So for anyone out there listening, please know that if you're a creator and you're making content, it doesn't matter someone is listening, someone is watching. So it's almost like you have this sort of responsibility as well. So what experiences have you had with that, Majoy, if any, and how do you approach that?
Okay, well, first of all, let's greet our viewers. We have three viewers right now.
Oh,
Hi,
hi.
guys.
Hi.
A very,
Well,
very good evening or, well, morning for me in Singapore. Just want to say hello to you guys and hope you're able to join us on today's live stream. And yeah, so as I was saying, I mean, since the question is balancing personal and online presence. For me, have I experienced that in the past? In Singapore, I've experienced once, but not from content creating. I appeared before I became a content creator. I appeared to a sit down interview with this big YouTuber in Singapore, and his channel is about interviewing expatriates living in Singapore. So the mission of the channel is to talk to people who live in Singapore. What's your experience here? Good and bad. And it's quite a big channel. And he does travel videos as well, going to Philippines, Thailand, India. He goes to really big exotic destinations. So I was chosen to represent the Filipino community here. So I was really excited when I did that. And I was just a pure consumer of YouTube. I was
Yeah.
never even thinking, it never crossed my mind that I will be a content creator.
Mm.
So fast forward to the interview, and obviously it was almost an hour, and we talked about life and everything. Nothing structured, it was just a conversation. And then one time I was in a public place, and I remember there was a guy who came up to me, and then he said, "Oh, can I take a selfie with you?" And I was like, "Sorry." And then he's like, he's a Filipino too, by the way. So
Mhm.
I'm okay with that. I'm totally cool with that. And then he's like, "Oh, I saw you on this interview, blah blah blah." So I was like, "Oh, really? That's cool." So I think that, and fast forward to me now doing my content creating, my own channel and my own exposure. I think before I started, as my advice, or if maybe this is something to food for thought for content creators,
Yeah.
for new content creators. I think because we're both new, Isabella, I'm only 4 months and a half old. So I think at the very beginning, the beauty about new content creator is you have a blank canvas. You can really plan how you want your channel to be in this particular topic. Like, for example, for me, I'm so clear to myself that I am not going to expose um, too much related to my personal
Yeah.
stuff. It's not like I'm not comfortable to say I'm a Joy, I'm in Singapore. I think it's fair for them to know where I'm at. And, but in terms of going more personal, I'm not a vlogger. I don't do vlog channels. I'm an
Mhm.
educator. The nature of my content is to share educational pieces, and hopefully professionals, business owners, uh, fellow sales team lead, who watches my
Yeah.
channel, will probably say, I don't need to know a lot about you. Let educate me. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
think for me, it depends on the channel. Of course, my friend who interviewed me for that particular video, there was a lot of information about me that was asked. How long you've been living in Singapore, how many kids you have, and da da da. But nothing specific in terms of your address or something that is very critical in terms of personal information. But to this topic, this is a very good topic to start with, because I think that depends also on your location. Like in
Yeah.
Singapore, it's probably one of the safest place in the world. So I don't feel worried if I walk around and somebody approach me. This is the
Yeah.
last to worry about. But of course, there are so many places in the world where you got to be more careful about really overexposing yourself. But for me, because I provide educational content, I think they only care about so little about me anyway, because it's not
Mhm.
about me. It's not about like a day in my life, or what am I eating today, or what am I cooking today. So it's the nature of my channel is to, I'm your educator, I'm your trainer, I'm training you for free, I'm sharing you my knowledge. So let's get into it. That's it. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think that I think that's such valuable information because it depends on your channel, right?
Yeah.
And I think after that happened to me, I thought about this consistency that you have, and it's across because I don't know, it depends, and that's another topic. I'm not going to get into that, but you want to maintain this sort of authenticity
Mm.
consistently in your message across the platforms, right? So that they can see your true personality. So you
And
also
I
want to go
Sorry.
ahead.
I
No,
just
no.
want to add one bit because I might forget. So, as a content creator, we also consume as well. So, there's this new
Yeah,
channel that I bumped into. A new content creator, you can tell the age. I don't know. Some videos are suggested on me as a consumer based
yeah,
on niche. So
yeah.
this person probably spent a good over 30 seconds talking about himself, and as a content creator, as a newbie, we've all made those mistakes at the very first video, second video, third video. And then you learn from that. And then you realize people don't really care about me. And I keep that at the back of my mind. People don't care about who am I really? What have I got to say about my life? Of course, introducing yourself is one thing. It's fair to introduce yourself, your name, and then, of course, if you're comfortable
Yeah.
to say where you're doing your video from or where you're training and stuff. But I think to your, I just wanted to add that part. Like, okay, you another thing about oversharing is not only your information, but like it affects your viewers. Would I go back to that channel, Isabella? No,
Mm,
because it's time waster for me, and I'm speaking as a consumer. I can speak as
mhm.
a content creator, I can speak as a consumer. And
Sure.
as a consumer, we need to put ourselves in the position of the consumer in order to be a good content creator. Meaning,
Mm.
don't do to others what you don't want others to do unto you, kind of thing. Like I will not stay on that video if this person would say, "Hey guys, this is me," and it's like, okay, well, you know what? I am just gonna move on. No, nothing
Yeah.
personal. I'm just gonna move on. So that's, I think, another benefit of being very mindful about your online presence, apart from safety, but also the amount of viewers you lose because you spend so much time talking about you at the very critical part of your journey. I think in closing to this topic, what I can contribute is if you are actually an established channel. I've
Yeah.
watched good channels. They can go on and on about, things, a few seconds about what they ate, and I've tried this restaurant and da da da. People stay because there's already a community. There's already a built-in community that would just became friend, like online friends. Like for example, if I'm
Mhm.
listening to your live stream, I wouldn't mind if you talk about few things here and there because we are already a community. I'm in your community or you are in
Yeah.
my community. But new viewers who just bumped into your channel, which is so critical to lose because you speak so much about things that don't matter to them, particularly overexposing information or oversharing information that don't really matter to them. I think that's my biggest advice to that.
Yeah.
And that's
And
a reminder to myself all the time. I remind myself that all the time. Yeah.
yeah, and I think it does depend, and I think you touched on something so critical, your community. So when you're building that community, there is a definition of what's off limits. So clearly you're identifying as a creator what is off limits to talk about, what's not. It can include family, romantic relationships, etc. So you're using discretion in how you're sharing that based off of your own community. So that's so important to understand as a new content creator. Because I also did that thing real quick before I move on, that cringe video where I talk nothing
Yeah,
about
we
myself.
all have. Yeah.
Um, but when you're talking about your professional versus your personal life here, you have to decide on how much of your content will focus on, are your stories relevant? Are they relevant to your
Right.
content? I think. And I think a good balance is to keep your content really grounded, right? Like you said, and focused on really providing that value that you have to offer. So, some practical tips that, to kind of close out this topic, some practical tips that I would offer when it comes to balancing personal and professional online presence, which is so important, as you just heard. I think it's important that you just do you have time for your personal shares depending on your community. Sometimes you have, like, maybe you have a Patreon channel, or maybe you have something else that's
Mhm.
strictly for that. Maybe there's
Right.
a separate, thing that you're
Right.
doing, and you want to
Mhm.
reflect before you're sharing that stuff. Does your audience really want to hear that? Does your viewers really want to hear that?
Right.
And I do want to say this. I think it's so important for every content creator to hear this. And this is something that we don't hear often when you go to all those different channels, is when you're sharing, your personal opinions will impact your professional image. So you have to be very careful about what you're sharing, right? Because
Right.
they will impact your professional image, especially on, we'll say, interesting topics, right? So it's wise to be mindful of what you share. and consider how it aligns with your channel. I think for me, that is so huge because there's so in my niche or what I do, there's so many topics that can be triggering someone. It can cause some issues. So I have to do regular check-ins. I have to evaluate what I'm talking about, and I'm
Right.
very careful about how I'm sharing it. And I encourage feedback from my community, so they can tell me, hey, they're either, this is maybe too much or whatever. But nonetheless, it's important that you do those check-ins with yourself. It's a balance that's key to creating a really sustainable channel, I think, personally. So balance it with your personal insights. Make sure you just look at your channel, look at the strategies, know what you're sharing. Um, I'll say this about professional branding real quick before we actually move on. And well, I think really it's all about making sure that when you're sharing stuff that you're keeping consistent with your brand, that you're not confusing your community. So I think it's just all part of that. So integrating it very carefully. So let's move in to our second workshop topic, which is consistency versus accuracy. Now, I'm excited about this topic as well because this is probably, again, don't often hear this because you often hear, record, 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 put up, put up, put up, just, constantly do this and do that. It's one of the most important things you can do. And I do not hear a lot of people really discussing the importance of this. Uh, Maybe it's because of my background, but the question becomes, and I've seen this as a consumer, is it more important to consistently put out content, or is it more important to be accurate, right, with your content? Okay. What is accuracy and what am I talking about? Well, let's talk about the information that you're putting out, because I've seen a lot of where we have these new creators, even old ones, where they're putting out so much content, but what they're putting out may not be accurate. Their sources may not be reliable. So you always want to use reliable and credible sources, because I'm assuming you're researching, unless you're an expert and you're coming out with all of these things. Um, my channel, for example, I talk a lot about psychological things. I talk about neuroscience, and even though I'm an expert and I have my doctorate in that area, I still do research to look for the new, up and coming research, what's out there, to try to break it down for you on a consumer level. So I make sure that I check my sources. And also, for content that really requires specialized knowledge, you need to consider, the content, and have you reviewed it, or have you just taken it off of a headline and put it out there because you want to hurry up and regurgitate, and get out consistently. So I'll let you speak on that before. I don't know, Majoy, if you want to speak on that when it comes to being accurate versus just getting something out like that, and what your take is on that.
I think for me, because of the nature of my channel, and I can respect that is really something that is aligned or applicable to your channel or to the
Mhm.
nature of your channel. But for
Yeah.
me, because my channel is sales training, communication, face to face selling, cold calling, and of course, now I'm branching into workshops where my sales skills that I feel I was able to use as a content creator. Now, this becomes a big umbrella of what is in my channel. And having said that, I think for me, what's applicable is the consistency and the accuracy. They both work together for me because
Yeah.
consistency in a sense where in order for me to create better, I need to keep practicing. In order for me to speak better, I need to keep practicing. In order for me to be more creative than I am, I need to keep creating. That's the
Yeah.
salesperson in me. That's the sales coach in me. Because uh, the formula in sales, although it's very common across the board, meaning to say you talk to any sales coach, they would speak pretty much the same language as I do. But the only thing different is what is my actual sales experience that I actually can bring on the table. Hence, I'm every single sales coach you'll see on YouTube. We all talk about closing the sale, building rapport, picture painting, da da da. But our take on each topics will vary based on the industry we came from, our experience, our personality, our communication skills, our caliber as a salesperson. I believe to be a sales coach, you have to have done sales yourself. You can't just suddenly, like to your point, you can't just be a talking about psychological topics and you didn't go to school for that or you don't have doctorate like you. So I agree to that extent of what you have pointed out based on your channel. But for me, I feel like consistency is really the key, and I've said this many times in many collaboration
Yeah.
conversation we had. I'm creating content, number one, for myself to get better. I'm really doing that. I'm consciously doing that,
Yeah.
and by doing that, practice makes perfect applies to content creating. So consistency on producing videos for me, I still go for 3 videos a week or one live stream a week. Depends on, hopefully there's no interruption to that goal. And of course, accuracy, again, in order for you to be accurate to to the nature of your content. Yes, I agree, your content can really trigger and change people's way of thinking and can either benefit them on their daily lives or not, or
Hmm.
create more damage or create more negative impact. So for me, because the nature of my channel is obviously sales training, and of course the viewers of this replay or this live stream, if there's any content creator, we all have different channels or different topics and different niches. And if you're doing sales training as part of your as your niche, same like me, I think accuracy will come in play based on you really exercise your experience. You really show what you've got, that time and age and experience have given you. So I would say both of that work for me. If I share my videos, I also share to them. If I share a recommendation or tips, I've used that myself. That's all I'm
Yeah.
saying. Also use that. It's not like I read the book and I said, okay, I read the sales book and let's talk about this. Everything
Yeah.
content is really based on consistency and accuracy.
So, and I think you made such a valuable point. So, your content is consistent and it's accurate. So, I think it depends on, the content that you're actually putting out there. And because I run across so much where people who haven't actually had a formal education
Right.
in
Yeah.
certain things, they're putting out things and people, and it is scary. So, I just want to say,
Especially with your topic, it's more critical than mine. Because mine
yeah,
is you can try and error. It's a trial and error thing. You can try to make sales doing this method, or you can try your communication skill this way. Maybe it will improve your small business, but and it's not detrimental. It's not a matter of life
yeah,
and death. Compared to your niche, it's really anyone in your niche should really. I really agree to that 100%. They really have to do their research on top of the. Are you in the position to do that? Are you actually really you know what? Since you mentioned that, I wonder if YouTube actually also check on that. Like, if your topic is related to providing tips that could influence people's mental challenges and stuff like that, or psychological issues, it would be
they
interesting.
They do not actually, and I came out, and even though I use my credentials here and there, I do have a doctorate,
Yeah,
and in a couple of things, psychology, behavioral neuroscience, and I have taught this for years in universities, etc. But there are people who've established their expertise without having that based off of experience or just because they have a passion. So all I say to that is stay educated about the field's latest developments. So, if that means you have to attend workshops, you have to subscribe to relevant journals, you have to engage with other professionals, just be responsible for the content that you're putting out. But I also say this, Consistency is no less important than accuracy. You have to be consistent to be able to grow. So I do agree with you, Majoy, on that point as well. And I think it helps your channel grow. I will say this as well. If you're a creator and you've put out something that you later find that may not be correct, just go back in and correct the mistake. I saw this with one creator that I'm following. They put something out, they misled the community. They came back and they said, "You know what? I'm sorry. I didn't mean
Ability.
to." Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so just develop that clear policy with your community and, communicate that to them. I think you should prioritize quality
Yeah.
necessarily over quantity. But let me say something because I've heard so many gurus talk about this. They're like, oh, hold on to that video for 2 weeks. I don't agree with that necessarily. I
Uh,
think you have to be consistent or it's like the algorithm forgets about you. So there is a balance there, right? So, you can have strategic delays, but use your community tab. Talk to your community. Let them know what's going on, right? That you're experiencing something. I use my community tab a lot. Now, I'm not saying I don't know if my community is always reading because I'm not always getting the feedback. But then let me tell you something. You have community watching you. You have loyal people watching you because out of the blue, all of a sudden, they will come up and they will give you a comment. Hey, I've been watching all your videos, et cetera, et cetera. So if it's necessary, delay it. But to Majoy's point, definitely need to be consistent with putting things out. And I think it's important when you talk about that is flexibility. So sometimes things happen as they happened um, earlier this evening, but sometimes things happen. So you have to have flexibility and you have to be able to pivot, right? Adapt your content strategies, develop a good content strategy, but be prepared to unexpected changes and look at your accuracy and your consistency and your quality and know that you may have to have these real-time adjustments that need to happen within your own regular posting content, however you do that. But I think that's a topic actually, Majoy, that you speak about on your channel that you are so very good at. So I'm not going to spend any time really talking about that. I think it's, just to kind of end out that segment is if you focus on some of these strategies, you can effectively manage that balance between consistency and accuracy. But no, I'm coming for you. No, I'm not. Not really. It's this thing, as a former professor, man, you're grading and you're looking at those sources and you're like, hey, this so I have an eye for it. But anyway, let's move into the third and last topic for this workshop, which is growing your channel. How do you grow your channel with little time or financial resources? Now, this is something you can really go down the rabbit hole and spend a lot of time, but I just kind of want to talk about a few of the things that aren't really discussed necessarily. And let me talk about time management real quick. Let me tell you something. Time management is something I think so many people struggle with, not just here, but on so many different levels. You
yeah.
know, moms, dads, career people, students. I mean, I could go on and kids, they have so many things to do. So, time management, you've just started your channel, you're excited, you're passionate, but you don't have time to be consistent, much less be accurate. What do you do? That's the question of the day. Well, let me tell you what I did. I didn't do it very well in the beginning. I just sort of made a video here and there and everywhere and had no schedule. So, it's important when you don't have the time. I think it goes back to identifying things within the creator world, tasks that have the highest impact on growing your channel, right? So that would be in content creation, you would need strategic planning, right? You would need to know that, you wanted to get your videos out. You can't outsource yet, or maybe you're in the position to be able to do that. Um, I'm certainly not in the position to be able to do that. So outsourcing is outsourcing as in outsourcing your work to someone else. So there's many people that you can hire, to do certain things. Management. Well, I'm not there yet. So I still am doing everything myself. And trust me, that's a lot. It's editing, it's your own scripts, it's just on and on and on. And I will tell you that some of the growth strategies that you can use are not important as much as you managing your time. There are 24 hours in a day. Well, how do you manage your time? And the only way that I really can think for you to manage it is by making sure that you're planning out each time. Majoy, do you have anything to contribute to that statement?
I mean, okay, so again, every content creator has a different life outside YouTube. Any content creator who's a mom like myself, it's very easy to navigate time management because that's our life every
Mhm.
single day as a parent of young kids. So having said that, I don't have any struggle whatsoever when it comes to time management because before YouTube, I've already have a time management structure at home where when they're out of the house, that's the time I get to do the things I need to do. In the sense of we have someone saying hello, hi Manny,
Hi.
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 Welcome to our little chit chat here. Hope you've got something to drink and enjoy the conversation and our collaboration. So, as I was saying, um, in terms of time management on content creating, what works for me is I I really have to set an individual goal. I have to have my own goal for myself. Yes, other gurus will say you do this, you do that, you do that, but at the end of the day, as a small channel myself, what works for me is I set a very realistic and attainable goal for myself based on the time that I have, and by doing that, I don't have issues with creating. I don't have stress when creating because I creating content is a happy place for me. It's not
Yes.
a job. It's I am being creative. Just like if you're a painter or you're an architect or whatever, you're doing pottery for business, but that's also your passion. So I think to make it easy, I think for me it's really I need to be creative, and YouTube has been such a great outlet for me to do that. And I think so many viewers probably who are fellow content creator, whatever niche you have, if this is actually really something a creative space for you like it is for me, I just really needed like a really, like I would say, an hour of my time in a day where it's either I'm writing script, or actually I don't write script, I write my topics, or I spend time. Today is my thumbnail day, so I would really just whatever time I have, when I'm in the mood, when I'm in the space of creating, that's when I work.
Mhm.
I feel like the way to create good contents, good product, to sell to your viewers. Like again, this is a salesperson in me. I will need to be in a creative space to do that. Whenever I'm in that mood, I just really go for it. So the best thing for me is really have a routine, your individual routine. I don't think it's necessary to listen to what other people or what other gurus are saying. Oh, you should do this and do that with time management or creating contents 3 times a week or once a week. I say create when you're in a space to create, because your creation will be good and you're going to enjoy the process and it would not feel like a job. And then, of course, it's a bonus when your viewers enjoyed what they saw, enjoyed your content. And that works for me. I really, to me, having a balance of routine on my personal life as an individual, my personal life as a mom. I wear different hats as most mommies out there. And so I really make sure that the things I need to get out of the way, I get it out of the way before I create. Like for instance, I need to go to the gym in the morning. The kids are out to school. I go to the gym. like mind is clear and it triggers a lot of really good energy and ideas, and then I create my content, or I sit down and get my work done, whether it's a thumbnail day, it's a description day, it's a content ideas day, or reviewing my channel, or checking what's been happening on my video. So every day is so fun because you do different things every day. This is what I enjoy so much about, if you're passionate about your channel like I am, it's a
Mhm.
fun thing to do. It really is. I really enjoy it because every day I get to, I'm in full control of my life as a content creator, compared to when I was working in the corporate. It's so difficult because if your boss would say, okay, today this is what we're doing, or this is what I want you to do, and stuff like that. And that's why I really hope my YouTube channel would take off, even if it's nice and slow, because I'm treating this as my baby. This is really where I put in everything I can. But at the same time, I really enjoy, to close my opinion on this, or my take on this. I think just really, to all small content creators, or fellow
Mhm.
content creators out there, if you create a structure that is creating joy or bringing joy to your life, you're doing the right thing, and you're gonna really create more good contents, whether you're vlogging, whether you're baking, whether you're cooking, whether you're to your channel, Isabella, because it's not a job, it's actually more of a passion project. And at the same time, every day my biggest advice is, do different every day. Do something different for your channel every day. Well, like I said, today, if I'm doing thumbnail, I'm just checking all the thumbnails on my 115 videos. I'm going to check, I'm going to go through it. Is this something I'm going to click? Is this something I'm happy with? Is this something I need to revamp? I probably, that would, the time goes by when I'm on my computer, next thing you know, the kids are back from school. So I can't really do everything in one piece, and it's overwhelming, and it's a job. It becomes like a boss telling me, it's 6 o'clock, all of this needs to get
Yeah.
done. So that's my biggest advice there. Really, um, allocate what you need to do on the time you're creating, that would benefit you and your channel and your viewers, of course.
Yeah, and one of our viewers said, Manny Uncanny said every creator should be different. There's many copycats, and they're a moderator. And at one time, they moderated for 38 creators, but cut it down to 28. So, yeah. And, so what do you listening to you talk about time management that way, and how, and listen, I know you go to most of the people you subscribe to, and you are constantly giving them feedback, going and watching. Thank you for doing that. It's just modeling great great behavior too. But would you suggest then, because many of the gurus out there are like, hey, you should put your schedule on your banner, right? I upload, I do this X amount of time. Would you agree that that's something that we should do?
You mean like promote if there's something
Yeah,
you're
it's on your like your YouTube banner. They
right,
say
right.
you should put your upload schedule, or when you're doing lives. And do you schedule those, you
Okay,
know?
for me, I don't upload okay, I post on my community tab when I'm scheduling an upcoming live stream.
Mhm.
um but I have to commit on that. Rain or shine, I gotta be there.
Yeah.
So that's the thing about posting, or giving advanced information to your viewers, or maybe not just your viewers, any viewers on YouTube who discover or bump into that community post, right? So for me, if I post something there, I really have to be there. It's really a commitment, because I know some people, which I'm very curious. Some people I follow, they just do live suddenly. Just suddenly they're live. There's no like warning, and they're just like, hey guys, I haven't tried that. I'm curious to try that. In fact, I'm so tempted to try that on account of the kids are not here. I can
Yeah.
create. Let me hit live. That's for me. It's kind of like if I'm in the mood to talk and create and just really share really good content. I just wish I can click record and live. So I'm gonna have to try that in February and see how that's gonna go. But to answer your question, I do give up. I post on my community tab days before the live stream. On the same day, I do a countdown.
Mm,
um and yeah, I mean, like I said, at the end of the day, the interesting thing about live stream is you don't know how many's joining and
mm,
who's going to join. But I find that the replay really show the value of the content, how the viewers receive that in terms of as a whole, so I have regular viewers who say, okay, Majoy, they would even message on the community tab, sorry, Majoy, or on the comment section, I missed the live stream, I was actually working, I'm on, because let's face it, the time difference from all the viewers that we have. So yeah.
man,
Can you repeat the
you
question? Did I
good. I
not
don't know
answer?
if that answered I think the question was whether or not I love that. Thank you, Manny. So the question was whether or not you'd actually put a schedule up on your YouTube banner of how many times you
Backstage
see.
stuff. Aha. Okay, Manny, thank you. It's the age, okay?
Yeah.
This is the age. Sometimes we have a bit of a dementia syndrome. Forget about what was what was asked. I've never really explored that. Like I said, as a content creator, as a new content creator, I continue to learn. I continue to learn from everyone, and I continue to adapt on techniques, because I really believe that there's really no such thing as this is the right way or wrong way on
Mhm.
YouTube. I have watched, I think, many channels or young channels or aspiring channels, who's done 3 months of their channel really binging on all this guru. I think you really reach the point where after that, you look back in hindsight, you look back, man, I've consumed how many hundreds and thousands of hours only to
Yeah.
conclude that these are the things I actually want to do in my channel. It's not
Mhm.
really what you consume, it's really what you will do on your
Mhm.
channel. Just like this workshop we're doing. We have viewers who could be sitting here and say, okay, I like that second chapter, or I didn't like what Majoy said, or I didn't agree on what Isabella said. And it's fine. At the end of the day, there is really, in my opinion, there's no rule or specific strict box, for YouTube content creators. So for me, I've never tried that. I'm open to trying that. But what I do is I post on my community tab if I'm going for a live stream in a few days from now. I just feel like it's okay. It's okay to let them know ahead of time. Again, I will try the shock value, like I'm suddenly live kind of thing. I'm gonna try that.
So guilty. I called it, remember the pop-up live that I did? I called it a pop-up live.
Yeah,
So
tell me
I
about that.
yeah, I'm so guilty of that. Okay, so what happened was it actually I thought it would be a time management thing. It's perfect for this segment where I could just pop in, do a live, not have to do any of the editing. Maybe I would throw out a net and get some of my viewers, right? That, I could get them in the live, I could interact with them, I could engage with them. Well, it didn't work out that way, but I still went through with the live. So I'm guilty, and I know that maybe that's not the right thing to do. I should have scheduled it, but I
Or
was like,
it didn't work for you. Are you
um,
saying it?
it worked for me in the sense that I think it's important for new creators that want new channels, that want to do lives, get the experience because it can be a little nerve wracking, even for me, for
Yeah.
someone like me that was used to teaching to, sometimes hundreds of students at one time. But every time a new semester started, I would feel nervous, right? Because I'm in front, all eyes are on me. So there's a little bit of nerve wracking, nervousness there. And I think it can help each time that you do it you become a little bit more easy with it. But unfortunately, what I wanted to do was engage with my community, and I didn't really get a lot of that. I think I got other people that kind of popped in and out, but not a lot of engagement. But that's okay. It's all trial and error, right? So I was
I,
okay with it. But for someone like you, I can see where you're like, well, you didn't tell me you were having a live, and I could have been there. So
I think I just want to add also my tip on live stream. I like this part. This is kind of not on the list, but it's since we're talking about this, I think this will resonate to
sure.
so many content creators. I agree on what you say. You just have to try it and you can figure out if this is actually something you're comfortable with or not. based on my experience as a new channel, I and I remember my very first live stream. It was the strangest thing to look on the camera or on my computer,
Mhm.
and no one is talking to me, and then there's no viewers. So I think if we are, and I believe even big channels go through this, that's the beauty of live. It doesn't matter if you have 1 million subscribers, maybe no one was there to show up for whatever reason, whether they were informed ahead of time or it was just not going on with their schedule, whatever. The beauty of live stream is you can actually replay that. So for me, my biggest advice on live stream is be prepared. Don't just click record and talk and feel like you're just talking whatever. Again, I'm an educator, so in order for me to really engage the viewers who will watch my live stream on replay or live, I value their time. I have to be prepared with something. It's not scripted, but I have a structure. I value the time that they gave me and the time they're sitting there listening to me. So my advice to new content creator, if you're doing live, make sure you're really kind of like a long form video, if you may, like you really have to keep them engaged, that they really are getting something of what you're doing on a live content. I suppose to long form video is the same. Like you can't just like go around the bush over and over again, the same topic over and over again and waste their time.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
my take is really, really treat a live stream like it's a long form video based on the quality that you deliver. So your viewers, live viewers, will come back for the next live and the next live and the next live. And I think I've had success on that. Although my viewers, my community is really small, but I feel like the repeat customer, the repeat customer definitely comes back and say, hey, the last live stream was valuable or was not a time waster. I'm going to come back for another one. So again, this is the sales person in me, where if I want to make more sales, I need to be really make sure I'm doing my best presentation, make sure I'm really
Yeah.
delivering what I should.
And our viewer said, Manny said, it's like multitasking. So you have to present the contact or content. You have to make it interesting, and then watch the chat, interact with the chat.
Yeah,
So there's a lot of stuff
a lot
going on.
going on. I
That
agree, Manny. A lot going on. Yeah.
Mhm. And I'll say this before I move into a few tips I think that I could possibly give people with some time management, how to manage that. But there's one of I met her through you, Majoy, one of your lives actually.
Okay.
Um, I think Destined to Recover is her channel name,
Oh
I
yeah.
believe.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, yeah, so I was able to pop in, I saw it, one of her actually a couple of her lives, and although she is doing more of like a vlog and she's cooking or it seems still structured. She has like a content, right? Hey, come celebrate. She was celebrating 700 subscribers. Congratulations to her. I'll never forget the first
That was
subscriber. I was
quick.
so
That
happy.
was really quick.
Yeah.
She's relatively new. I'm also like
Yeah.
recognizing a handful in our community who
Yeah.
suddenly, when I check their videos, like, wow, 500 subscribers. It's like the last time I checked, I had 300. So
Yeah.
it's really going. Yeah.
Yeah, I was so happy for her, but yeah, it's still structured. And you know what was really interesting is when she was cooking, she had something reading her chat. So her hands were, in the food. I don't know what, a chat reader or something. It was reading out the comments that people were putting in the chat. And I was like, oh, because she's still interacting, right? So it Oh, thank you so much, man. Thank you. Thank you. Um, but she definitely I was so impressed. I was like, so she's interacting, she's cooking, she's got, kids at her feet. I was
Yeah.
like, wow, this is cool. So let's move into tips. So some of the tips that I have for you is the interaction that you have actually with your community. So when you're responding to your videos on the community, you want to, the comments, encourage your viewers to engage with you, because that helps you when it comes to maybe you're struggling with getting some sort of idea for the next video. Maybe your viewers have something that they want you to talk about. Maybe they have questions for you. So it can increase that investment, also decrease the time that you're spending trying to figure out, what am I going to talk about? What's my next, video going to be about? And it's also going to be able to build the community at the same time. So for me, I think that's a big, big win-win, because you're also engaging with your viewers, but you're decreasing your time. Maybe they're going to give you a lot of suggestions. A lot of those big channels, they get all the stuff fed to them from their viewers. So they're doing all these great topics, but you'll hear them say, "Hey, a viewer sent this to me." So, it's just one of those things that you can do. I hope that it helps, for anybody. Every little tip helps. And then we're going to move into the integrating financial considerations, because how do you start this channel with limited resources in terms of financial? And you know what? I've made $0, zero so far. So I am not quite a monetized channel yet, because even though you have the subscribers, you still need watch time hours. And I was making more smaller videos, not necessarily long term. So it just depends, right? So how do you start this channel when maybe you think you need all the equipment? Maybe you, before you start, and let me just go ahead and be the first one to say this. It took me, oh wow, it took me probably close to 2 years to start this channel, because I was so concerned that I didn't have all the equipment that I needed, when in fact, all I really needed was something that we all have, which is this little thing here, your phone. So most of us have a cell phone. Most of us have one that can record, and most of them give really good picture quality, and there's a mic on it and everything. So I think when it comes to considering, maybe you think you don't have a channel, or you can't have your channel because you don't have the equipment. I think you do have the equipment, and you can just press record on that. There are some other cost effective things that you can do as well. Um, but before I move into those, um, Majoy, do you have anything that you want to say on that before I move into some other cost effective ways?
I know I'm good.
Okay. Okay. So there are some cost-effective ways that you can do. So let's say you've got your, your phone, you've made a video, but you also want to market your channel, because a lot of times, analytics, YouTube's not picking it up. And a lot of you may have heard about email marketing. It depends on the channel. So I don't know what kind of channel you have. Email marketing works good for most channels, a lot of education channels. But you're building an email list, right? And when you're building an email list, so let's say you're an education channel, for example. I think, Majoy, you said you're an education channel. Is that how you would identify your channel? And I think you've already done this. I think Majoy is a great example. I think when I first saw it, I was so impressed, because she has made a website that you can go to. I remember when I went to it, I was like, "Oh wow, look at this!" So it's so amazing. You're getting an email list, right? And you can do that. Also, you can offer free download or some sort of exclusive content that you've made using a phone that you probably already have, in exchange for an email address. So you're giving them something and you're getting something back, right? And there's free services out there. I think MailChimp is one of them to manage your list. And let me tell you something. The reason I'm talking about this is because when I first heard someone tell me, make an email list to, market, your channel, I was like, what? I don't know enough people. I don't understand how to do that. And it took me months to figure. I think, Majoy, when I went on your channel and I saw that I could go to a website, that's when I kind of figured it out. A lot of people tell you to do this, but they won't tell you exactly how, step by step, to do it. And that's a problem because most of us, at least I didn't know. I was like, email. I don't know anybody's email. So that's how you can do it. Once your channel, so let's say you've got your phone, your channel is gaining traction, and let me tell you something, there are so many channels. If you think you can't be successful with just this, I would say, I would challenge that, because there are tons of channels that have actually been monetized and all they had was their phone. So I mean, it can happen. And once your channel gains tractions, you could consider selling merchandise. And let me talk a little bit. I'm not going to go down a rabbit hole with that, but there are platforms out there, like I think Spring, it used to be Teespring, but it's Spring now. There's all kinds of platforms out there where you don't actually have to make an investment in terms of buying the merchandise and then selling it. You can just put, you can create something, put it on a shirt. Maybe it's just words. Maybe you've designed something. Maybe you're using Canva. I don't know. That's one way in which you can start, like, building some type of financial, getting something, right? I'm not going to talk about affiliate marketing, even though affiliate marketing is
And save
something.
that we can save all of this for our next
Yeah,
collaboration.
yeah.
So
I'm not going to talk about that so much, but what I wanted just to say is that if you implement a few of these strategies, if you really use your mind, take your mindset and say, I know my video is going to be successful using this. The first videos I made were using this. I think I made probably 20 videos using nothing but this. I will tell you this, research how to record yourself on it, because my eyes were everywhere but looking at the looking at the actual where I needed to look. But that's where I made it. And then I actually upgraded, but I can tell you, you can get webcams really cheap. I'm using one right now. It was like maybe under $40. So there's lots of different things that you can do, but when you implement these strategies, I believe that you can effectively, if I can talk, grow your YouTube channel without a significant financial, investment that you need to make, because you're not going to get monetized till, after you get those, what is it, 4,000 watch time hours and 1,000 subscribers. Am I correct on that? So
yeah.
you can definitely make the most of your time and any budget constraints. Yeah, I mean, it's expensive out here. So these tips hopefully will help you to maximize growth while maintaining a balance between cost, time investment, and the quality of your channel. So those are the things that we wanted to discuss. Yes. Oh, thank you, Manny. It is 4,000 watch hours. It's like climbing the highest mountain. I think for me, the watch hours are huge. Maybe Majoy, you want to do, I don't know if you've already done a workshop on getting those watch time hours, but whew, those seem like a unclimbable hill, but hey. But I hope that these tips tonight and the workshop, this is our third workshop that we've done. This is like a milestone. I mean, here we are, Majoy and I, who never met before YouTube. So we encourage you to collaborate with each other. So important. Um, Majoy, do you want to say anything about
No,
that?
I think we've covered everything we had to cover today. Also, of course, as this is the third workshop, as you said, we don't want to overwhelm the viewers.
Sure.
So we will definitely accept any comments, any recommendation topics for the future collaboration. The idea is to obviously be able to share our takes, our experiences, and our expertise if we have in any topics that really would benefit small channels. So I think I'm pretty happy with what I needed to share today.
Oh, thank you. Let me before we go, actually, Manny, thank you so much. When I was talking about the let me say this real quick because they put in the comments when I was talking about the creating with a cell phone, Adam the Woo, Justin, is that scared if I say that right? Tim the Tracker, these are huge creators and they all started with a cell phone. So thank you for that so much because I knew I had seen those. And yes, I would love that. I would be honored. Thank you so much. Um, so I really appreciate anyone else that's in here that you've come. I'm honored that you're here in our collaboration. We really appreciate it. I'm definitely honored to have met Majoy, whom I believe without her, we wouldn't have this collaboration so very much. So I'm honored. And I want to tell you this before we go. Listen, a byproduct of collaborating with your fellow content creators is you can form friendships. I've never met Majoy in person, but I feel like I've known her my whole life, and I'm very honored by that. So I appreciate that all of you who have come. If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat. If you don't have any now and you think of them later, come back. For those of you who are watching the replay, thank you so much for being here. We truly appreciate it. And join us next week because we will have workshop number 4. Do not forget to check out Majoy's channel. I'll link it in the description. It'll take me a minute to get the video up because I'm going to follow rules and actually put timestamps on it. So give me time for that. But definitely check out Majoy's channel because she consistently does a weekly workshop where she also talks about all things creator and sales as well. Very honored to have you all here. I hope you all have a beautiful night. And until we see you next time, please take care of yourselves. There's a lot going on out there. All right, we'll see you.
See you guys.